welcome back. I'm Joan, and today's going to be a little bit different than the last few videos that I've done just because I finished the last two books in the Ember series by Saba Tahir, and I didn't think it would be a lot of fun to go through those if you haven't read the first two either. So we're just going to go through the other two books that I read, and then instead, since it's going to be a little bit shorter, I do have a small book haul because it was my birthday month last month. I splurged a little bit and then I also got gift cards. So I thought, why not? I am definitely not going to be buying any more books for a while, so I am very well stocked. But let's go ahead and get into the books that I read in March. So we are going to start with The Hate You Give by Angie Smith and The Pisces by Melissa Broder. The Hate You Give was one of the banned book group picks that I'm in. That's why I keep bringing it up. It deals with a lot of intense topics like police brutality, murder at the hands of police, activism, racism from classmates, justice, and identity. We meet Star at a party, and she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, and she feels very out of place because she typically goes to her classmates' parties, and this party is at her home community. And so she finds her friend Khalil there, who she's not had much contact with, I guess, since her mom had transferred her over to her primarily white school. And while they are talking to each other and catching up a little bit, there are gunshots at the party and they decide to get out of there together. They end up getting pulled over by the police, and Star immediately thinks of what her parents had told her, like to stay calm and to only answer when spoken to and to announce your movements before you make them, type of thing. So Star becomes increasingly nervous when she realizes that Khalil is not following this sort of protocol. He is very irritated at the fact that they had gotten pulled over even though he hadn't been speeding. The officer asks him to exit the vehicle, and so while he is standing outside of his car, he leans over and starts to ask Star if she's okay, only to be then shot by that police officer. This is obviously traumatic and devastating. This isn't the first time that it has happened to Star, though. It wasn't at the hands of the police the first time, but it had been her and Khalil's friend when they were children. She had been killed in a drive-by shooting due to gang violence, which is also a large sort of theme problem throughout the novel as well. And so soon after, Star's uncle, who is also in the police force, comes by the house and asks her to answer some questions for the internal investigation that they're doing. Her parents are against it, but Star wants justice for Khalil without having to speak publicly about it. She is scared that if she did speak publicly that the police would then target her and her family due to the nature of the murder. During the investigation, Star notices that they are asking more questions about Khalil and the possibility of him being a drug dealer rather than asking questions about what the officer had done and how the murder had happened, almost as if they were trying to find a way to justify the police actions based on history of crime. And so Star is already dealing with a lot after Khalil's murder, especially with her not wanting to speak out about it. She can't really say anything while she's at school either. And so she is having to deal with some racial microaggressions at school as well from one of her supposed friends. Her classmates decide to use Khalil's murder as a way to protest, but as a cover to get out of class instead. So Star does not join into this because they are still talking about Khalil being a drug dealer and not really believing that it was an injustice for him to be murdered. Star also struggles a lot with her identity throughout the novel. She is constantly thinking about how she should be presenting herself, how she should act, and the diction and tone she should be using based on the environment that she's in, especially because she is one of the only Black students attending her school. And much to the dismay of her father, she also has a white boyfriend. Her school friends and her home friends have never really mixed together either, so she feels very pulled in different directions because of this, and does think about how her father would react to knowing about her having not only a boyfriend but also a white boyfriend, specifically because she thinks that he might feel as if she is betraying their community. She also dulls her emotions to these microaggressions because she feels that if she acts on her anger, that she will be seen as the stereotype of being an aggressive person. There are a lot of different family dynamics as well. Her father is a former gang member. He was able to get out by taking the blame for, I guess, the leader of the gang group, and was allowed to leave because of that. Her mom and dad are together, but her dad did have a separate child with another woman who is the wife of that gang leader. And I don't remember the exact circumstances of that engagement. Her half-brother stays with both families, but he primarily worries about his other sisters because of the abuse that happens in their home. Her mom is wanting to move to a new community because of the gang violence that is rampant in their area, while her father wants to stay and build up their community and make it better for everyone. Once the police end their investigation, as we know they will, the novel also deals with activism and protests that turn into violent protests through the protesters themselves and the police. So she finds her voice, she speaks publicly about what had happened, she gets tear gas, she witnesses people burning down buildings, her own father's grocery gets burned down, but that one is more due to gang violence than protest violence. But what I'm trying to say is that this book has so much to it. Really, I'm scraping the surface of this summary. Now, this one is also a YA novel. Like I said before, Star does not drink or smoke. She says so herself, and it does not happen on page. There is no on-page sex either, though there are allusions to her parents going to their room and turning up the music, which is met with disgust. There is nothing in here that is inappropriate for teenagers. I did give The Hate You Give 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So if you have read it, let me know what you think. And then I read The Pisces by Melissa Broder. I thought this one was okay. I originally gave it a 3.5 or 3 star, but then this month I actually read a novel that I think better fits into the 3.5, and this one didn't quite meet that. So I am going to retroactively say it's a 2.5, but I am going to keep it as a 3 on Goodreads, just to be fair. Essentially, we follow our narrator Lucy, who spontaneously breaks up with her boyfriend of 8 years, and they had mutually decided not to get married because they didn't believe in marriage, but she had felt that he still should have asked her because she did kind of want to get married, and I think it was because their relationship had stagnated and she did not feel as wanted in a sense. She also briefly talks about the lack of time she has left to think about having children. It's not that she necessarily wants one, but that she's running out of time to decide if she does or not. Immediately after breaking up, she obsesses over her ex, I can't remember his name, but it is to the point that she stalks him and breaks his nose by punching him because he's with another person now, and she is told that he will not press charges on her if she decides to seek therapy. And so, after she is pulled over by the police, her sister calls and offers her house in Venice. And she tells Lucy that if she comes to her house and takes care of her dog, that she can stay there and relax and gather herself back up. And her sister is very wealthy. Her and her husband are out of the country, so Lucy will have the house to herself. Several times she brings up the unconditional love of the dog, Dominic, which brings on a lot of different meanings as you get farther into the novel. I'm sure you are catching my drift. It's my interpretation that Lucy essentially crashes out after the separation and is desperately seeking that sort of attention and connection to others through sex, especially since she has been with one person for so long, and it became an addiction for herself. At the therapy sessions, it is group therapy, and I believe we start with 3 other people and then add another one. I still cannot remember their names. There are 2 of them that Lucy feels superior to. One of them victimizes herself and doesn't believe that her stay-at-home boyfriend is taking advantage of her. And then there is another person who I believe is just not quite ready to get back out into dating, so she's staying in the therapy group, but she does rub her feet and eat at the same time, which really gets on Lucy's nerves. Then the other 2, I know one of them is named Diana. Diana takes a superior attitude towards the therapy group like Lucy, but she reveals after her first session that she keeps sleeping with younger and younger and younger men. And it does get to the point where she is thinking about being intimate with one of her 16-year-old son's friends, which does not happen in the book, but it is alluded to that she is thinking about it. Then there is her other friend, can't remember her name, basically is using sex as a way of self-harm and is institutionalized, I think, a few times in this novel, but they are more enablers for each other. So very repetitively, Lucy will find a man online, meet him in real life, get the ick, still have sex, and then leave. And she is self-aware enough to where afterwards she knows that it wasn't really a great idea, but she immediately jumps into another one. That is until she meets Theo the merman. And I'm going to say merman very loosely because if you put legs on him, he's just a man. His tail literally starts underneath his butt and his front area. So it doesn't really lean into the, monstery, fishy stuff, but she feels an immediate connection with Theo. They talk a lot while she is sitting up on some rocks and he is swimming. During their relationship, she is odd in the way that she thinks about them being together. She feminizes him a lot, and I think it's because she feels that she has more power over him on land, because she does bring him to her sister's house and he can't exactly defend himself on land. And going off of that, Lucy is a very male-centered person. She literally thinks of the penis as power and thinks about having one for herself and thinks about the feeling she would get of domination. Like when her and Theo are having sex, she will say things, and I'm super paraphrasing this. She says things like, his fishy scent reminds her of a vagina, and we filled each other's holes existentially. I don't know what that means, but I think she's really chasing the power that she is giving to the men in her life. She has an obsession with being the one pursued, with being the one who's wanted by the other one. So not much really happens in the plot of this story. Dominic, the dog, has a very aggressive reaction to Theo, and so she continuously drugs the dog with tranquilizers and even has to go to 3 separate vets to obtain more. There is a point, I think around a week and a half or so, where Theo and her had fought, and he said that he was not coming back, and she waits for him every single night at the rocks to come back, but she drugs Dominic every single night just in case Theo is there, which he never comes back to the house at all. Dominic does end up passing away due to this neglect off page, and she does find his body. Even though Lucy can recognize that this was her fault and she feels bad about it and she reflects on how it happened, once her sister is home and asks her to stay with her to deal with this, she does not tell her sister that it was her fault. She lets her sister say and believe that she is the one to blame for leaving her animal with someone who is mentally unwell. And she does not stay with her sister. She does go and meet Theo at the docks because at this point he has returned and he has asked her to live under the water with him. And so at this point, we are really just waiting to see if Lucy decides to kill herself or not, because there has been really heavy-handed symbolism to depression by calling it the void, and in the later chapters directly comparing it to drug addiction. And the only reason that she doesn't go through with it is because Theo lets slip that she is not the first one he's asked to do this. She finds out that she's actually the 18th person that he has done this to. And so immediately she's turned off. She leaves. She goes back to her sister's house and lays on the couch, and that's it. There's also a subplot where she is employed by a university to write theory on how to interpret Sappho's poems. Admittedly, I don't really know a lot about Sappho, but I do know that Lucy is very focused on the heterosexual pieces of literature by Sappho, which, again, I think shows her male-centered personality. I really don't have anything profound to say about this novel. It was okay. I didn't hate it, but I did hear that Milkfed is better than this one because The Pisces is her debut novel. So I have actually owned Milkfed a lot longer than I've owned The Pisces. So I'm hoping that's going to be true because I do want to read that one soon. And with this book, wouldn't you think that he would be more fish-like? I thought he was going to be more fish-like and really lean in to the otherness, but Theo was just a man, really. But yeah, I ended up buying this one for my book club because my library didn't have it. I was gonna buy the ebook, but Amazon had it for $10 more than the hard copy. I was like, I'm just gonna get this one then. Might as well. But now we are officially onto the book hauls. First, we have The Lamb by Lucy Rose. Obviously, gorgeous cover. I saw the other cover for this book. I love that one. I'm so sorry about this one. I love that book cover. I'll try and find a picture of it so I can show it to you. But I like that one a lot better than this one. I have started this one. I don't know if you can see my Magic the Gathering card. I've started it. I am taking a little break from it because with the books that I have finished this month, I needed a little pick-me-up, and this one's going to be on hold until I finish the one I'm currently reading. But next, we have Under the Oak Tree by Suji Kim, and isn't that... literally bought it because of the cover. It's so gorgeous. Apparently, it was a webtoon first, which makes sense. I have consumed a lot of webtoons. I don't so much anymore because I was spending way too much money on webtoon and Tapas. But I think this one's really cute and I think it's going to be fun. Then I got Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Yes, I have finished it. No, I'm not talking about it. I want you to read it. I will let you know. The only thing I'm going to tell you, I finished this book at 1:30 in the morning and woke my husband up crying. We also have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I got this one just to finish out my series because I own the original trilogy. Fun fact, that one was the first book set I was ever given, and I've had that since I was 11. So just finishing those out. I have read it, but I read it through the library. Then we've got Devil House by John Darnielle. This one of my other book groups that I'm no longer part of, they do a Secret Santa where you basically pick out a list of books for someone else to read based on what you think that they would like. And this one got recommended to me. I couldn't find it anywhere, and I just kind of resigned myself to buy it online whenever I actually wanted to read it. But when I was in my local bookstore, I saw it and I was like, oh my god, because I had looked on their website and they didn't have it. My library didn't have it. But just suddenly was there and I felt like it was a sign, and so I grabbed it. I'm really excited about this one. We have Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This one is a signed first edition. I am so excited about that because I had just picked up a random one just off like one of the front tables, and one of the employees had come up and he said, "That's a really good book. You should go grab one of the signed editions if we still have one." And they did, and I got a signed edition. I'm so excited. I want to read this one really soon. I've heard, like he said, it was really, really good. And isn't it just, it's so pretty. Then I got The Dream Hotel by Lila Lalami, and literally these big ass stickers that you can't take off, I hate them. I looked up this cover without this sticker. It just looks so good. Why do you have to put them right here? Why can't you put them on like the spine or on the back? Who cares if Jenna read it? I don't even know who that is. Quit doing that. But I picked up this one because I've heard good things about it and I was wanting to read it, and I looked at like the pages on the inside and there's like random like charts and stuff in here, and I thought that was interesting. So I don't know a huge amount about it. I like to get my books and then forget what they're about and then read them, because that makes it a lot more interesting for me, I guess, because also I don't have a lot of expectations going into it. But really excited to read that one. Then we got A Gorgeous Excitement by Cynthia Weiner. I was looking at another book in the aisle and I saw this one, and that cover is just so compelling to me. Like, I read the inside. I don't know. I hope it's good, because this was a cover buy, if we're being quite honest. Yeah, excited to see if that one goes good. And then the last book that I bought last month is I picked up Martyr by Kaveh Akbar, and I have heard really good things about this one. I've been eyeing this one, and one thing I don't like about it, I wanted to save $10 and get the paperback instead of the hardcover, because sometimes it just feels like all my bookstore has is hardcovers. But can we stop with this little piece here? I want to hold the whole thing, and that just, like, I just don't like it. The texture is wrong. It needs to just go. What's the point of it? But yeah, I'm sure you've heard about this one. I am definitely grounded from buying anything else until at least I get through these. I'm literally not joking. These are not the only books that I have bought and not read yet. I have not a whole shelf, but like I go to library sales, I go to like thrift book sales and stuff like that too. So I do have like quite a backlog at this point, and if I read 4 books a month and 2 books a month are from my book clubs, it's gonna take me a minute to get through these. So I'm gonna super try and work on that, and hopefully I'll be able to actually read more, because I've gotten my phone screen time down from like 6 hours to 2 to 3 hours. I actually just deactivated all of my like regular social media like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. So I don't have access to those anymore. I'm not planning on getting them again. I do have like Goodreads and Fable and, Substack, but hopefully that helps me with the doom scrolling. I can save like 2 to 3 hours a day and get more reading done, or get more writing done, or crochet, or enjoy a movie. And I just hope it goes really well, because I've started journaling too, and I'm just trying to really get off my phone in general. But yeah, that's the video for today. Thank you for being here with me again, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.